Welcome back, friends. In this episode of the Veteran Transfer Project's resume series, we're going to talk about choosing what to put in our bullets. So we've talked about the structure, we've talked about how to think through our resume, and now we're just going to go through a process to actually get bullets on paper. So education, pretty straightforward. Like we talked about in the previous video, we have this standard structure: list your schools in order with the most recent first, the degree, and the level of the degree. GPA is kind of optional. Applying to schools, you might as well include it, but they will see it on your transcripts. Another thing that is optional that we talked about is the relevant coursework. So if the classes are pertinent to what you're taking and you really want to highlight that you've been taking them purposefully toward whatever you're pursuing, absolutely feel free to put them in. But I don't think they're really that necessary. Another thing that you might want to do, similar to relevant coursework, is if you took like one-off classes. In the Navy, it's NC PACE. It's these distance learning things. And again, if they are relevant and they sort of show that you're pursuing this thing over time, absolutely put them in. But again, they will be on your transcripts. Now, experience. That's where, for veterans, that's our bread and butter. That's how we make our money. And right, for most resumes, I think the work experience is the workhorse. But for us, we were in the Navy, the military for X amount of years, and now we're trying to figure out, okay, how to summarize, how to bulletize that. Well, what I encourage us to do is start by just getting a bunch of material on paper. So break it down by duty station. That's how we talked about doing it in the organization part. So break it down by duty station, break it down by the roles you might have had in that duty station. And then for each of those, get a bunch of bullets down. Don't worry about formatting them, making them sound pretty. Just say, oh, I did this, I did that. Go back to your evals, your brag sheets, any letters that you have, talk to people, just get those stories back. Whatever you need to do, just get a bunch of bullets down. Here's an example of what that looked like. I don't think it's real, but this is a bunch of bullets that I sort of gathered and I could have had from my last duty station. And we don't need to read through them. It's just to show you what it might look like. Step 2 then is going to be to go through this list and kind of just read through them once you have them all down, because remember, we're not thinking about them as we're writing them. But once we have them all down, we go through them and just kind of have your mind open, or your heart if you want to sound goopy, and just feel for the ones that feel extra meaningful, the ones that make you go, ooh, I did do that. That was kind of cool. Whatever your role was, it can be anything. You'll know, you will feel it. Your body knows. And so, again, don't worry about how they sound, because people are going to read this, right? Some mega job application, you might get screened first with AI, or you might have someone from HR just flipping through things, spending 10 seconds quickly scanning. In general, this is not the case here. Someone is going to sit there and look through, each application and really sort of thoughtfully read it, hopefully. They might be wired and sort of sleepless from their other obligations, but they are trying. And so it's not about numbers. It's not about cool, fancy words. It's just about speaking to people. And so the things that are meaningful to you will be the things that you can write well about and will therefore speak to other people. Continuing the example, remember we had those 10 bullets. I've trimmed them down here to 5. And I have this example here of something that I cut out. There was this one that said, among the first in platoon to qualify for dive supervisor. Well, that's kind of cool if you know what dive supervisor is, and it does fit into the team, it is important, etc. But if you don't, and it requires a lot of explanation, then that's just something that I can either put in a short essay if I think it's that important, or just say, okay, thank you. It was a nice bullet to have, setting aside for now. So we trim down from that long list and just choose. For each duty station, I recommend having, 5 or 6 after this trimming down. The next thing we're going to do, action 3, is extend these bullets and take them to say, okay, now this is their impact or this is why they mattered. So in the original, I had this one that said, help to teammates set up and apply for their education benefits. Well, now I take that and I say, here is help to teammates apply for their education benefits. I liked it because it was meaningful to me. It showed this initiative. It showed this teamwork as caring for education and caring for others. But now I extend this to say, oh, well, what were the results? Well, this increased their promotability, their preparation for responsibility, and boosted command awareness of education benefits. So there's the direct effect to them. There's a greater effect to the command. And indirectly, I'm showing that I'm thinking about those things by showing that I'm aware of the results. Now, this might not come immediately. It didn't to me. Some of these I had to talk through with people, but that is the goal. And another example I have here, this should be all up there. Okay. And this other example I have here, responsible for organizing this joint training exercise. Well, the immediate result was, of course, increased tactical proficiency, deployment readiness. And then, so that's the immediate result. But then in the greater picture, well, look, team cohesion and inter-team cooperation, because it was this joint exercise. Again, we are not thinking about sentence structure. We are not trying to make them short or snappy or care about the wording. We just want the things to exist. We want them to exist. Again, we want, 5 or 6 of these trimmed down from the long list and expanded bullets per duty station. Oops, this should be on the next page. And with that, we'll move on to skills and interests, which is the same as experience. Again, skills and experience, you're only going to write a few bullets, so it's less about making it fit into the bigger picture and figuring out results. It's just, hey, did this, have this ball, whatever. So for me, it's languages, programming languages, some articles that I wrote, and some diver/medic quals. Make a big long list, trim them down. You'll only have 3 or 4, maybe 5. Start by getting a bunch on paper, source from wherever you can, be creative, trim down to the things that are meaningful and speak to you, extend those things that are left to why they mattered, to how they affected other people, your command, your team, your community. And as always, the thing that I have to say, like this video if it was useful, share it with other veterans, get your educations, get your degrees, work on it. America, the world needs you. Until next time, friends.